Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this week's video, we are still going to be working in this hallway. If you have missed the previous videos, there's 3 of them where we paint and install new flooring. We do this brick accent wall behind me, but I still have a few more projects that I want to get done before I can call this hallway finished. Okay, I want to take just a second to appreciate how far this hallway has come. This is what it used to look like before we did any projects. So it's already looking tons better in here with the new floors and the paint and painting the doors and this brick wall and adding the rug. But you can probably tell from this video, the lighting in here is terrible. So I have been wanting to change these lights for a long time, and I grabbed a couple off of Amazon that I loved. I'll link them down below. So the first thing I want to do is get these lights switched out. Okay, before I install the new light, you see the ring where the old light was? Our new light, the ring on it is like much smaller, so I'm gonna go ahead and paint that so I don't have to do it afterwards and get paint on the new light. All right, I've had a lot of people ask me about changing out light fixtures. It's super simple, and I've showed it once before, but I'll show you right here on the ground because it's gonna be easier to see than when I'm holding it up in the air. But this is the new light, and they mostly come with a white, a black, and a ground wire. Sometimes this wire is green, but this one is copper. So you're gonna have these same wires coming out from your ceiling, but we're gonna pretend these are our wires coming out from our ceiling. So all you do is you take your black to black and you're gonna just line up these little end pieces, and then you're gonna put your little cap on them, and then you're gonna twist until they're together and secure. And you're gonna do the same thing with the white to white wires. And then these wires will go together as well. I am not a licensed electrician. I am not responsible if you burn your house down, but if you're wanting to switch a light out, give it a shot. I didn't do this for years because I thought it was complicated. I was really intimidated to do it, but it's pretty simple to do when you already have the wires there. So if you're thinking of doing it, just give it a shot. Okay, before I tuck these wires back up into the ceiling, I'm gonna double check that all my connections are right. So I'm just going to add the light bulb and turn on the light. We're good to go. Okay, for our next hallway project, here's what I'm thinking. Here is what we can see from downstairs. And as you can see from here, it's just like a sea of white, right? I mean, that definitely helped doing the brick wall, but I thought it would look really nice to add some beams going across right there, and then one at the end of the hallway that you won't be able to see from right here. So I built two kind of prototypes, I guess, and I'm thinking I like this bigger, chunkier one. So this is going to be a 1x8 in the middle, and these are 1x6s. So the beams are only going to come down 5.5 inches, so they won't be too low because my ceilings are only 8 feet tall, but I think we're going to make up for that in the width of this one. So this will be like 8 3/4 of an inch. So there's lots of different ways that you could do these beams. You could 45 all of the edges and make it look seamless, but I want to make this very beginner friendly. I'm just going to make a U shape with my beams, and hopefully the seams will be hidden. I wanted to show you guys my mantle because this is basically what we're making here. It was just a beam, and I did the U-shape method, and I can't really tell. I think it looks fine to have this seam going down. Once you stain it, I think it will basically look like one solid piece. So I've got all of my boards here, and let's get started building.
So the first thing I'm doing is taking my combination square and I'm just marking a straight edge so I can cut all of my boards to the size that I need them. If you're building these beams, it's going to depend on where you're putting them, how long you're going to cut your boards. So I'm cutting mine just a little bit long so I can trim them later, just in case things don't go quite as planned while I'm building them. And then after that, I am just going to run some glue along the edge of each of the boards, well, the middle boards. That way I can shoot in some brad nails to hold it together while the glue dries, and my joints will be super strong and I won't ever have to worry about them separating.
Now that the glue is dry on the beams, I want to give them a little bit more of a rustic look. So I'm taking my chisel and I'm going to be just kind of carving the edges up just a little bit. And then I will take my attachment for my drill. I have a video on how I did this, if you remember, you watched, where I built a bench just to give it kind of just a little bit of texture to the wood, and then this is what it looks like, and then I'll go through and sand it smooth again. But when we stain it, you'll be able to see these little pieces, like kind of just little grooves, and then the edges will be imperfect as well.
Now that the beams are all distressed, I am going in with a 220 grit sanding pad, and that's gonna just smooth any rough edges. It's not going to even out all of the distressing that I did, but it's just going to make it a lot more smooth so the stain will be easier to apply. Step one of the staining process for a soft wood like pine that I'm using is to use a wood conditioner. And that's gonna help the stain to kind of go on more evenly, where it will soak in some spots more than others if you don't use it. The wood conditioner helps it to go on more evenly. So I am using the color Early American by Minwax, and I am just using a cloth and I'm just gonna rub this all over the boards. All right, I let the beams dry overnight and I am not in love with them just because I feel like the color is looking really splotchy. It looks worse in person. So, and it's because I use pine, and pine is kind of hard to stain sometimes. Even though I use the wood conditioner, it's just, yeah, not exactly what I wanted. So I went and grabbed this solid stain, and I've just been experimenting with that, and it goes on like this right here. And then I layered another warmer stain on top of that, which is the Early American, to get this kind of warm color that is not, it kind of does a good job of hiding all of the like parts of the wood that I don't really want to highlight. This is my first time using a solid stain, and I really found it to be a pretty interesting product. It goes on like paint. It looks super opaque, but it's really not. I was a little nervous at first because I was thinking these beams look like I just painted them. But after I applied the solid stain and I let that completely dry, I used a gel stain. I'm pretty sure it's in the color Chestnut by Minwax. And I layered that on top of this solid stain, and it was able to bring some of the wood grain back out, and it didn't look like a painted board anymore. Not all of the wood grain that I wasn't liking before, but just enough to make it look super authentic and look like one solid beam, in my opinion. Okay, the beams are all stained, and I am super happy with how, like, I think that looks like one solid piece. Also, if you're wondering why, like, I left the ends like this, it's just because I wanted to make sure that I could trim them after I was done, just so if everything wasn't lining up, if like I was off a tiny little bit or something. Now that I'm done, I'll go and trim. I made sure not to put nails like right here. I'll just trim a little bit off whenever I get my exact measurement. And this is where we're gonna stop for today's video. I was hoping to get the beams installed, but just completely ran out of time. So make sure that you guys come back next week. We will install the beams and add all of the finishing touches to the hallway. So I will see you guys then. Bye.